Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a video on some of my thoughts and theories around the whole exoticals and basically just anyone who's a non-black, racially unambiguous woman is trying to erase, those women. I feel like this topic has a lot of different nuance to it. Like it's people from different sides saying kind of similar things, but just from a different perspective. So I really wanted to break it down and go over all the things that I found that I'm like, okay, that's kind of fishy. So sit back and enjoy. I'll try not to make this video too long. But it's definitely something that's been on my mind for a while that I wanted to share with you guys. So please enjoy. So the first topic I want to touch on is when it comes to the erasure of unambiguous black women. The thing is, especially when it comes to certain exoticals, whether you're a light-skinned black woman or you benefit from certain isms, or you are like a biracial, multiracial, Creole, whatever type of girl, we're all pulled in and out of blackness. So when you have selective blackness towards certain groups of people, and one day they're black and one day they're not, and the rules don't apply to everyone. For example, Doja Cat is half white American and half black African, which is the same thing that Barack Obama is, half white American, half black African, meaning neither of their, black sides have any trace to black America, yet one is seen as a black American and the other one is seen as biracial. And one is allowed to be, a black juggernaut, but the other one is pulled in and out of blackness and called a lot of different things. Even though she, has 4C hair and stuff, she's still pulled in and out of blackness, as if you can't tell that she's, part black. They try to act like Doja Cat is like white passing and stuff like that. Just so that they don't have to claim her. And there's an ongoing theory that Doja, she doesn't prefer black men and stuff. I personally think that's what it is. And then there was the thing with her being in certain chat rooms and stuff. So I think that just correlates to how people see her. The same way with Chloe and Halle, even though they're clearly light skinned, they have locks. So you blackify them more. And then when it comes to people like Doja Cat, even though she has 4C hair, you're going to whiteify her more because of how you personally feel about her. Even though if that's how you feel about her, you should feel the same way about Barack, but you don't. So that's what I like to call selective blackness, where how can you say we're erasing your representation when you choose us to represent you and then pick and choose who can do what. So that's where it starts getting confusing. Either Barack Obama is black or he isn't. You can't say he is, but then Doja Cat isn't. That's selective blackness. So you can't say that someone is appropriating your culture or trying to step in as representation for your people when you're the one that elected these people and choose to thrive off their success as your own until they offend you. And another thing when it comes to selective blackness, my recent video I just did was about what is black and who gets to be it, because the word black can mean so many different connotations for different people, and some of those things are interchangeable and some of them aren't. So that's where it comes in. We have Tyla, she's not really black. Well, that just depends on what black means to you. So stuff like that comes in where people are saying, oh, we're being erased. This is black American culture. When the term black doesn't always mean American to some people. Some people feel like, what do you mean she's appropriating black culture? She's from Africa. That's the blackest that it gets. And other people are like, well, no, she's not a descendant of American slavery. So no, we don't want her getting BET awards, And then I think even Tyla, I think I might do another video on her because people are not letting that stuff go. People are definitely going in on her. I don't even think it has anything with her saying she's colored. I really think it's just a way to push on, multiracial people and biracial people and any girl that they feel like has too much pretty privilege that also happens to be light skinned. So I find that very interesting. I feel like people like Normani have pretty privilege. I think she's really cool, but she's not that vocally inclined. She's a great dancer, but I think her beauty as a dark-skinned woman is what people root in her for so much, because they see someone who's beautiful, who's talented, who has potential, and they want to see her like the Britney Spears, like the Beyoncés, And I think her beauty is why people root for her. You know what I mean? Because at this point, people don't really support her music. They don't really support her. A lot of people have negative things to say about her, and I think that her beauty as a dark skinned woman is what people, they saw her as like she could be the face for black girls if only she put in the work. And since she hasn't, people have been like really rude to her. So I feel like that's another thing. But yeah, one of the other things that I noticed that comes into the erasure thing is one dropping, is when you basically treat someone like they have to be black. Like, I think another person they did this with was Meghan Markle, where when she became a princess, people were saying, oh, we got a black princess, da 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 da. And when she basically said, like, I kind of don't identify as that, I didn't really realize I was black until Americans told me that I was, people were upset. So any other day she'd be an exotical, she's not really black, but because you wanted the title of, England's princess is black, you tried to one drop her. So I find that very interesting. Like when Tyler says I'm not black, you punish her. But then when, the princess says, hey, I'm not really sure about that, you try to force her to be black. So I found that very interesting. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, you've heard of the term like a culture vulture, which is probably like a non-black person sometimes appropriating a person of color's culture. But I want to make another term, and I'm going to call it a culture parasite. Because I feel like that is what someone like the black community does. Like they'll dibble and dabble into other people of color's culture and then try to exile that person when they're no longer, living up to a certain standard or whatever. And some people have not been exiled because black people hold on to them so much. For me, one of those people is Rihanna. Even though they know that her culture is not our culture, when she gets BET Awards, when she's on the Black Essence magazine, no one says anything. But you say something about Tyler, and that they're both from two different cultures. So I think that that's what I like to call like a culture parasite, where you're feeding off someone else's success in their culture and try to relate it back to yourself. And some people try to do this with people call them out, people like Drake and stuff like that. So I just also found that interesting how it's, whenever they want it to be beneficial, it's like a parasite thing. Like when they can harvest off of your achievements, you're black and you're part of the culture. But if they feel like they don't want to accept you for whatever reason, or they rejected you, like Tyler, all of a sudden you're no longer a part of the culture. So my next point is going to be basically about supply and demand and consumer stuff like that. If you paid, and I think Exoticals United said this too, of people saying YouTube forced me to watch exotical content. And to be fair, sometimes if you're looking up stuff about Republicans, things about Democrats will pop up, even if you're not into that. But if you're in this type of sphere, one, that's YouTube's way of saying that both these conversations need to be heard. Because if you're a Republican and you want a fair debate with a Democrat, then you need to hear the other person's, rebuttal. But I've noticed, like, in the colorism community, it's like they don't even want this type of sphere to exist, which is, deeming a red flag for me personally. Yeah, so to me, this is all about supply and demand. And when it comes to the lady that's playing Juliet and girls like Normani, you guys did not choose to support these people. I think it was like a hot topic, the Juliet thing after that. And I remember someone saying that Tom Holland, the guy playing Romeo, should speak out on behalf of his co-star. And I remember thinking, as a dark-skinned black girl, you should be like 100% rooting for her. And a lot of people didn't even make videos about that. And the people that did make videos about Normani, they were like really, really negative. Versus someone like Zendaya, people support her. Whenever there's some type of role where there's a black girl, people want to cast her in it, to the point to where she had to come out and say that, she doesn't want to take any roles that are not meant for her. And if she ever did that in the past, she apologized and she went out her way. I think there was a show actually on Disney, where she said she wouldn't do the show if there weren't people of all different colors in the show. She was like a spy or something on Disney. So she's gone out her way to do stuff like that, and people still feel the need to like compare her to Keke Palmer and stuff like that, where it's like it's never really good enough. So I think it's all about supply and demand. If you choose to prop up certain people, how can you get mad at them when you're the ones that chose to watch those movies, you know? Because I feel like I grew up on Keke Palmer and stuff and Keelan and B and stuff like that, and I've always supported her when I could. So it's not, you know, and I remember her being so secure in that, and people are basically saying, no, she's insecure. We're trying to tell you about colorism, da 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 da. And Keke was like, no, like, I'm Keke Palmer. Like, I got this, I got that. Why are y'all comparing me to someone else? So I think that they purposely do that. And I think Normani is one of the other girls they do that with too. And I just also find it very interesting that it's about supply and demand. If you're not going to support these girls, they're not going to get popping. And when you hate watch and keep up with people you don't like, that's still support, you know? And a lot of people don't want to admit that this is about supply and demand some of the time, not always outright colorism. Now, of course, there were some instances of casting that were just flat out just ridiculous to me that I completely do agree with the backlash and stuff. One of those things was the Nina Simone movie. We all know for a fact someone like Viola Davis should have played that role, but people don't prop her up as something like that for some reason. And another thing about Viola, and I feel the same way about Whoopi, drop dead gorgeous. And the fact that someone tried to convince them that they weren't, like, it boggles my mind. And I think that when it comes to, like, Hollywood and stuff, people that, you know, make black movies and stuff, you get to choose who's the love interest. Now, if we're talking about a Hollywood big film, probably no. But when it comes to the Friday movies and you know what I mean, black people movies, you get to choose who is going to be a love interest, and you always choose an exotical woman. You were allowed to represent yourself any way that you wanted. No white man said, hey, actually, no, let's do the light skinned girl. Oda and Viv moved to the side. Like, that's not what happened. You chose to make this your representation, you know? So it's one of those things where you have to choose the right representation for you. And if you truly want to be seen as you are, you have to accept yourself as you are. Because if you're saying, oh, no, I like Beyonce, Beyonce look like me, she's regular, and then other women that look like Beyonce are saying, hey, da da da, basically, you set yourself up for failure each and every time. So sometimes it is like ridiculous, like the Nina Simone movie. I don't know why someone would, paint her face like that. But 9 times out of 10, it's not that. It's usually you propping up people that later on you're going to try to deny their blackness. And the people that are unambiguous, the Kelly Rowlands, the Normanis, the Viola Davises, you guys don't support them. So again, I don't think this has anything to do with some type of covert conspiracy to wipe out black women specifically. I think this does go back to just colorist men, and just simply wanting to project, insecurity onto another group of people who can't control these circumstances any more than you can. So when it comes to like the whole erasure thing, I think a lot of even Chrissy has said some things where light-skinned girls or biracial girls are staying on code and they're intentionally being your friend just to like upstage you and stuff like that. And I just think that's like insane. And I think that when it comes to this stuff, some people might take it as this is something intentional, and that and I feel like if you have any type of beauty privilege or intelligence privilege, just lots of different ways you can be privileged, you're going to use it to your advantage. To disparage someone else is wrong. Like if you're born into money, you inherit a lot of money, to disparage someone else who's like, coming from a different place, that's wrong. If you're attractive and you're disparaging someone who isn't considered attractive, that's wrong. But to just, take pride in your privilege and be good at what you do, how is that like attacking someone else or trying to erase them? When last time I checked, exoticals have always been here. When you think about like a lot of our black leaders, not even just Barack Obama, but Malcolm X. He has like this red hair and these green eyes. And I'm not sure if his exact background, but I did hear rumors that he was an exotical mixed with some. Same thing with Rosa Parks, who, funny story here, but when I was in school, we did a play for Black History Month. And I was the like we broke up into like different groups, and each of us had to pick someone and do like a little skit, like a play. And they chose me to be Rosa Parks because like the way I looked, but I'm super shy. Like I had like a lot of stage fright, and I literally just could not do it. And one of the guys, he got in drag and he just did it for me, and he was so funny. It was so much better that he did it. It was hilarious. And someone said something like, well, why didn't you do it? You look just like her, and da 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 da. And it didn't really sit with me because they explained that she's just, you know, a regular black girl. But when you look at that lady, you cannot tell me she's not an exotical. I feel the same way when it comes to Martin Luther King. Now he does come off like looking like a racially ambiguous black guy, of course. But one of the things with him and his history that's always like made me double think is a lot of people don't know that his first love and his true love was a white woman. And he wanted to be with her desperately, but he was coached by other black elites in the community that if he wants to be this leader, he needs to marry a black woman. And he stayed with her for as long as he could. There's a really cool video about it. I try to like link it and show you guys. And it goes over this woman and how he was so in love with her. He'd take her out places where he knew the KKK was at. He did not care. Like he really loved this woman. And he left her by saying, you know, I always love you, but for what I want to be, I can't marry a white woman. And that's the last time she heard from him. So I've always found it weird that you want to claim these exoticals as black people when it's beneficial, and even people that are 100% black, who support making exoticals, you want to claim them when it's beneficial, but exile other people in and out of the community. That makes like zero sense. So when people say like, oh, you're trying to erase, you know, black people with exotical people have always been here. We've always been your representation. You guys chose to represent Rosa Parks instead of the black lady that actually did it first, you know? So, and I'm not trying to blame anyone for anything. I just feel like if you genuinely want representation, you have to do better and support the people who look like you. Yeah, so that was my opinion on that personally. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.